in the raw. RK is Guyana Free Media. And I'm your friend, your brother Hajji, Dr. Roshan Khan. This is taken from the news source, Guyana, on June 6, 2022. And I'm reading it today on the 9th of June, Thursday, and discussing an annoyance and a pain to us as Guyanese, and a travesty, most unfair and totally ungrateful, if you were to ask me, as to what is being done by the oil companies against the Guyanese workers, the Guyanese peoples, the Guyanese countries. I must let you know, I arrived from Trinidad yesterday in Guyana. And traveling with a taxi driver, he said there were several loads of people coming from Trinidad, and all of them were workers for our oil fields, or oil rigs, so to say. And our people have to go through all kinds of difficulties to get on there. And I am adding that we know, or we have had complaints where the foreigners, which included Trinidadians, are getting better food, and therefore, like, our country is looked as a slaver sucker country or by the oil companies, which includes Exxon and Hess and all the others, and maybe even CGX, that they are looking upon our people as a kind of a low-level slaves. Lower-level slavery, my divine, beloved friends and families. Not just slaves, but lower level, the lowest level. And our country is a slave-sucking country, for want of a better expression and view. Now, it is very annoying that these foreigners will get more money and opportunity than our own Guyanese peoples. So let me read this, and then I will make commentary as we go ahead. I do think also that our government, the people's government for the people by the people, that the people's government must look after the interests of Guyana and Guyanese firstly. And this is what we heard Excellency President Dr. Irfan Ali was saying. This is what we heard Dr. Bharat Jagdev was saying. This is what we heard Vikram Bharat, Minister of Natural Resources, was saying. The Guyanese must enjoy the benefits. And also, because it is our country, I, Hajji Dr. Roshan Khan, am saying that ExxonMobil and the others should pay more to us, because it is our country. And so the government of Guyana needs to negotiate firmly, with a firm hand, that Guyanese must get a 5 or 10% amount above any country's employees doing similar kind of work. Beloved divine friends and family, Guyanese should also have the first choice of food, because this is our country. This is our oil. And this does not belong to Trinidad, to America, or any other country but Guyana and to Guyanese. This is my viewpoint and my opinion before I start to read and dissect this article by news source, in which Guyana company accused of only offering salary increases to foreign workers, according to GAWU. We know GAWU is one of the famous long-term people's union in this country. The Guyana Agriculture and General Workers Union is accusing one of the companies involved in the oil and gas sector of giving its foreign workers a raise in pay, while ignoring local workers. While not naming the company, GAWU said the pay increases was approved against the backdrop that the cost of living has increased. So it will appear that the cost of living for Guyanese and Guyana has decreased, according to that oil company. If it was not Exxon, whom we have a good relationship with, then Exxon should have released a press release immediately debunking this accusation by GAWU. But by all means, it appears that Exxon might be also in the question of this, giving higher pay to foreigners. Back to the article. Undoubtedly, it was against that backdrop that a well-known foreign-owned oil sector company decided to improve pay rates for its employees. This mainly, the GAWU oil and gas branch was informed that the increases were only approved for that company's expatriate staffers. I take a breath there to give you a chance for it to sink into you. It got into you, ladies and gentlemen of Guyana. The locals, on the other hand, who comprise a significant proportion of the workforce, were excluded from that company's consideration, GAWU said in a statement. But I don't know why GAWU is afraid. This is a democracy. Why is afraid that they're afraid that they will be fired? According to the laws of Guyana, you cannot fire a union. You have to vote them out. So GAWU is being cowardly when we know in the days of Harry Lal and Dr. Chedi Jagan, GAWU was full of power and fire and brimstone. Why are they such lackeys? Is GAWU a lackey union? GAWU said Guyanese employees informed the union that they are at a loss for their exclusion. They shared with us that their foreign colleagues earn substantially more than them, but inexplicably their salaries were insufficient, thus necessitating the pay raise. So they were already, the foreigners, getting more money than Guyanese. Are you listening to that, friends and family, ladies and gentlemen? They were already getting more than the Guyanese, which it appears that we, the Guyanese, are the I-pass. But now they found it necessary to give the foreigners another increase, but not to the Guyanese. So we were not to their equal. They got another increase, so we stay way down to the bottom, as if we are a slave or we are a slave nation to be used. President Dr. Irfan Ali, when I respect your country, look up to you. VP Jagdeo, a man of power, intellect, wisdom, and made of steel. You need to represent your people, government of Guyana. They shared with us they shared with GAWU, right? The workers were perplexed that if it was that the foreigners were receiving inadequate pay, it did not take any serious examination to understand the situation, GAWU said. This is not the first time GAWU is raising concerns of inequality and the problems and difficulties local employees are facing in the oil and gas sector. This is our country, Mr. President. Mr. VP Jagdeo, this is our country. We own this country. We own that oil. They cannot do this to our workers, and they cannot just want to give us 2%, which was badly negotiated by a weakling government of the APNU AFC in the past. But we should stand our ground and demand at least 25 to 30%. I might have to join the protests, not because I'm anti-government, but to encourage the government, friendly as I like them and love them, to stand up for what is right for Guyanese to get a better pricing. And our percentage of 2% must be eliminated, and our people must get better benefits in the oil and gas sector. We must have insurance, not assurance, but insurance from the oil companies. Insurance. And we must have a clause in the contract that we can seize all their equipment and everything they have if they do not provide insurance and we have a need to fire or expel them. But we don't want to go that way. We are not tyrants in this country, but we want to ensure that our country gets the benefits it deserves and our people. Back in January, the union complained that Guyanese workers were being treated as second-class citizens in their own country after workers complained bitterly about not being afforded the same benefits as the foreign counterparts. And this was done in January too. Our people complained, ladies and gentlemen. At the time, GAWU said workers painted a grim picture of their situation on the work site, while on the other hand, their foreign colleagues were treated differently. We saw cases where our workers were sleeping on the deck, suffering in pain and misery, but the others had better, more comfortable support system given by the oil companies. So our people are grim. Grim means depressed, sad. On the other hand, of the pay raise, GAWU said workers related to the union that they were talks that locals do not deserve a pay increase at this time because our people are less than slaves. And our nation is a nation to be enslaved and used by the oil company, Excellency President Dr. Irfan Ali, Excellency former President VP Dr. Mara Jagdev, and Honorable Minister Vikram Bharat. They said that when they learned their foreign bosses felt that their earnings were more than adequate and the pay raise would represent essentially a favor, their workers told GAWU they were simply appalled that their employer would engage in such demeaning thoughts. Painful, hurtful. So it seems then that the oil company or company seems to think they're doing us a favor by employing our company, failing to realize that we are doing them a favor by allowing them to eke out our resources that belongs to the people of Guyana. Some employees back to the article, some employees have been there for several years to date and have not received any pay raise despite continuing to perform creditably, the union said. GAWU said the situation represents yet another assault, I would add a blow, on Guyanese workers in the oil and gas sector, and further illustrates the need for the sector to be organized and to be watched over by the government of Guyana, and that whenever there is something like this going on, the government of Guyana, through its Ministry of Labour, can institute fines, this is my opinion, on these people, and the GAWU should come together with the workers and file an action in the court of law. And maybe if they're too weak to do it, they could ask Glenn Lal to help them. If GAWU is too weak to represent its people, and our government is too weak to represent our people, then maybe Glenn Lal we should go to GAWU, if you all are too weak, and the people to ask for help. I'm a supporter of the government, but I believe in the norm of democracy and righteousness. And I believe and I love for my people in Guyana to have the benefits of the resources that belong to Guyana, that are making all of them rich. Your friend, your brother, me, Hajji, Dr. Roshan can, in the raw. Say thank you and farewell, friend.